like chill on the hill.
We don't even have to talk about Chill on the Hill if you don't want to.
Well, I think, we have the hill, for those that don't, I've never been to Vassar, we have this humongous hill, Main Street that goes up and down. So we're like, hey,
you'd think that'd make a great sledding hill.
Why don't we take opportunity and let's throw some snow down and have an afternoon of fun, right?
Boy. Yep.
Well, that never happened. Welcome back to another episode of Small Town Grit with your host, Corey Hobbs, coming to you live from the metropolis of Vassar. We have Adam Barden, owner of True Value, with us today. Welcome, Adam.
Thank you. I'm excited. I've been waiting to do this.
Yeah?
Yep. I'm going to outperform my wife.
I was going to say, you got a tough number to follow coming behind you.
No problem. I've been prepping for weeks, so...
Well, that's what I know about you guys. Is always a little competition between you guys. So
there's a lot of competition, and sometimes that works out to my advantage. Oftentimes it does not. So,
do you want to elaborate on that, or?
No.
Okay, I didn't think so. Do you ever feel like you just gotta turn your phone off?
Yes.
But do you ever?
Yeah, I do. I just like when I'm home. At a certain point at night, I put it away, so I can't hear it, and I can't.
Yeah,
I just don't know if it rings. So, which backfires on me sometimes because then I'll get up. I go to bed without looking at it, and I'll get up the next morning and so I got something that I was supposed to take care of, and I forgot.
Yeah, I used to try and disconnect, and then with our industry, it's like we always have something that's going on, like a water main break, or there's always something that comes up. Yeah. So we always have to react.
Yeah, I wrestle with that a lot because I think about what life was like 20, 30 years ago doing the same thing that we're doing now. And it was just like, well, it'll wait till tomorrow. But now, culturally, we've gotten to this point where nobody thinks they can wait till tomorrow for anything.
Yeah, we see that a lot in our lawn season.
Yeah,
because we get leads in, and if we don't respond or we don't take that call within that hour, they're already gone to the next.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And with like social media, with business now, like you're supposed to respond, right now, and it doesn't matter when it comes in. It's just, I think it's really ridiculous, and the question is, how do you get out of that? You really can't because it's a cultural expectation. So if you want to be ranked well and you want to get good reviews and you want to do all this stuff, you really have to play the game. Otherwise, you're going to be penalized for it.
Yeah.
But I think you'll see, and I've seen it a lot in our industry, where you get people that have been in it a long time and they're, near the end of their careers, and they just say, I'm not doing that stuff anymore. Whatever. I'm going to come to work. We're going to do our thing. And we're not going to worry about that stuff. And they probably are a lot happier when they get to that point.
Yeah.
But
right. No burden like we deal with every day.
Yeah. I don't, unfortunately, have that. I don't have the ability to do that, to turn that off. Even if I knew I was going to retire tomorrow, I don't think I could do it. It's just, it's really hard to balance those things, but it's just it is the life of running a business. It's just one of the things you have to deal with. I mean, fortunately, we're at a point now where we have some people that help with that, so I don't have to respond to everything myself. But a lot of times something will come in at night, and I always see everything, so then I respond to it because I'm like, well, I'm not going to wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, it just sucks you right in.
It does. Yeah, it does.
You're kind of unique because you're a family-owned business for many years, and you kind of went in a different path for a while, but then you came back to the family business. And so did you always grow up in the hardware business, like as a child?
Yeah. So my parents bought Vassar. At the time, it was called a Western Auto in 1980. So this is our 43rd consecutive year of doing business here in Vassar. We've been here for 43 years. So my parents bought that. My dad had worked at a few different places. He got his business degree actually from the University of Michigan in Flint. And he'd worked at a few different places, and they found this opportunity. This gentleman was selling the store in Vassar, and they were able to make it happen and to buy it from him. And moved here when I was 4 years old. So I was 4 years old at the time. I do not remember actually moving here, but I remember shortly after that. So we lived there was actually a house right next to the store.
In the store, so the store that you're at now is always the store?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was half the size it is now when they bought it, though. So in the mid '90s, they added on, kind of doubled the size of it. But the where the addition to the store is now, there used to sit a house, and that house came with the store when they bought it. So we lived in that house when they first bought the store. So yeah, we lived there for a few years, and then my parents actually bought another house just down East Street, so 2 blocks away from where the store is.
Yeah.
And that's where I lived until I was 13 or 14, I think, is when then we moved. They have a place just outside of town that we moved to then. So yeah, I grew up living right down the street from the store, and then I worked summers in the store.
By choice, I'm sure.
Yeah, I did actually. I had a lot of flexibility as a kid in the summers because I spent time with my grandparents had a farm, so I actually worked on a farm some too. So I didn't have to just work in the store. As I got older, though, I worked more in the store. As I got into my teens and stuff.
And now your kids kind of pass that tradition on.
Yep.
I mean, Reed and Elise, they're
They're
in there.
Yeah, it's funny because Elise this past summer worked in the store, and the summer before she worked in the store. Well, 2 summers ago, she was a very reluctant employee. She was not real excited to be there and didn't have the best attitude. So we had a number of discussions about that. But she was going to turn 16 actually in April. I can't believe.
Yeah,
so,
that's exciting,
yeah,
right? You get your life back a little bit.
That's going to be amazing. It is going to be amazing. But she got motivated about last summer that she needed to buy a car. So she really wanted to start working. So, man, she turned into a really good employee last summer. So she worked all summer last summer for us and was a really good employee, good cashier. She does a really good job of staying busy on her own. So that's good. And then Reed's kind of last year was in the position she was in the year before. He's definitely still a little bit of a reluctant employee. I'm hoping he's 2 years younger than her. So I'm hoping that we're going to turn the corner this year. With him, and he'll get a little bit more enthusiastic about it. But yeah, they don't have the option to just sit at home in the summer. They're definitely going to be working.
That's a good thing, especially in today's society.
Yeah,
get them away from the electronics for a little while, even, and make a little bit of money too.
Yep.
I mean, you pay your kids, so that's
that's absolutely.
Important.
It's good for them to learn the importance of hard work and the importance of how to save money if you want something, to set goals and try to save for it. So those are things that Gene and I place a lot of value on with our kids, and we really instill that. And our kids complain about a lot of it, but that's part of being a parent too. So if your kids aren't complaining some, you're not doing something right. I don't think.
So I was thinking about True Value, a couple things this last couple of days and leading up to our interview today, and I'm like, I don't know if you know this, but you're actually one of the first business owners that I created a relationship with in town. Like, I feel like and we've become longtime friends ever since, but it was that monumental step for me in my growth and to establish those relationships in our small community. And I appreciate you and kind of open arms. And I told you about our business, and you're able to bring products on that adapted to our needs. Yeah. Which a lot of other stores maybe not would have done that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Yeah. Relationships are the foundation of our business. I mean, that's what allows us to be successful, is the relationships we form with people. And I think that's how you really get to understand their businesses and what they need. And then you can help them and make it advantageous for both of you. I think if a business relationship is only benefiting one of you, then obviously something's not right with that. So yeah, I really, a lot of the best relationships I have came through the store, through me meeting people through the store. Even some of my employees who were used to be customers, and they became employees and friends. And the same, with like you, obviously I don't even remember the first time we met. So maybe you can tell me the story so I can remember, but
no, actually,
it was quite a while ago.
It was a while ago. Actually, Fred was still involved at the time in the store, and I always think of Fred as like the Chuck Norris of like Vassar. Like when Fred walks in, everybody stops. He just has that demeanor about him. It's like, let's listen to what Fred has to say. Yeah, I'll tell you a story about my wife and my dad. Actually, this is pretty good.
because when my wife and I started dating in high school, which was a long time ago, and when we started dating, she would like come to the store and see me. I would come after work. I'd go to the store to work, and she'd come visit me. And my dad, when my dad was at work, he's pretty intense, like all the time. Like he's like game on, you know. Yep. It's like when you're at work, that's what you're there to do, is work. And so she was always really intimidated by my dad, because like she'd come in and she'd be like, he doesn't even smile at me or something. He's just like. But then once we started dating more, and she would come over to the house, she's like, your dad is totally different at home than he is at work. He's like a totally different person. Yeah. And it's true. It's just, he's like, when he's at work, he was there to work and get things done. And at home, he was a lot more laid back and easier to hold a conversation with. Yeah.
So, was it hard transitioning from being your parents' business to?
Well, so I grew up working in the business. Obviously, I went to engineering school. I wanted to be an engineer. Liked math, liked mechanical things, and went to school to be an engineer. And I did that for about 14 years. Gina and I lived in Metro Detroit, and I worked in the automotive industry. In 2009, the automotive industry had a big downturn, which most people probably remember. It was a pretty brutal time in the industry, a lot of layoffs, a lot of companies closing, going bankrupt, all that stuff. So I made the decision that I didn't want to stay in that industry for the rest of my career, basically. So it was actually Jean's idea, which she might regret it still, I don't know. But she asked me one day, she's like, well, have you ever thought about buying your parents out from the store and, doing that? And I was like, I hadn't ever actually thought about it. I never thought I wanted to work in the hardware when I was in high school working there. I was like, well, this is fine for now, but I don't want to do that long term. So yeah, as it ended up, I approached my parents about it, and they were actually getting pretty close to retirement / liquidation of the store, closing it, selling down everything and closing it. So we came up with a agreement on how I was going to buy the business, and agreed on the price and the terms and all that stuff. And then the transition was actually pretty short. Gene and I moved back to town. We bought a house in town, and I started working at the store. And I think within about 6 months, my mom had mostly retired out of the store. And then within the first year, I think maybe it was a little bit over a year, my dad was done too. So we had a pretty short transition period.
What year was that?
2009 is when we moved back.
Okay.
Yeah, so 2010 or so would have been when my dad stopped working, I think. So okay. I don't remember the exact dates.
I kind of remember your mom transitioning. She always did the counter and the bookkeeping and stuff. And then she kind of went away, and then Chuck Norris was still there.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, my mom was always in the early days, they both worked the floor all the time, but my mom always handled all the back end stuff. So she was in the office, paid the bills, sent out statements, did all that stuff. And then my dad was on the floor, obviously. So that was kind of always the arrangement that they had. And so it was a little bit easier to transition her, because we trained Mary, who's actually, she's our longest tenured employee and is still there with us, a great asset to us, because she was able to, she started working in the store as a cashier, and then she transitioned and learned from my mom how to do all the stuff in the back room. So she does all that stuff for us now and does a phenomenal job with it. So then my mom was able to kind of retire, and then, my dad just kept working with me for the next year until I kind of was able to do most of the stuff that I needed to be able to do. So,
I see a lot of time in like family businesses when next generation takes over, and things always change with technology and everything we have going on. Like Dave Albrecht's another one. They used to do live auctions. Everything's online now. Yeah. Did Fred ever question you, like, why are you expanding the rental yard, or why are you doing this, or did you ever get those confrontations, or was
I wouldn't say confrontations. It's a very good point that you bring up, because I see this a lot in our industry, because you see a lot of stores that are multi-generational, and the generation that owns it, which is, they're getting up there in age and they've been in it a long time, they will they'll let the next generation work in the business, and they'll tell them that they're taking over, but they don't give them any decision-making authority. And these owners struggle because they can't implement anything they want to implement. They can't change the business, but they're supposed to be in charge. So I think the way we did it was really good because we had a relatively short transition. My dad would always tell me his opinion on things, but he never said, don't do that or you shouldn't do that. He just would say, well, I think this or I think that, and we'd talk about it. So no, I think the way we did it was the right way to do it. It really worked out well. And I think he was able to kind of walk away and go do the stuff he wanted to do and not have to worry about it. So it worked out well.
Like he trusted you to take over the business, because I'm sure that at some point it's his baby, right?
Yeah.
It's just like it's your baby.
Oh,
and if Reed, if chooses or at least want to take over the business,
absolutely.
It's like passing the torch. It's I don't know.
Well, he still comes in the store, every day pretty much. And believe me, he still has thoughts about things.
I'm sure.
That I hear about. But, yeah, it would be hard because I tell people all the time, I said, owning a business is like having another child. It is, I mean, in a surprising number of ways. I mean, you lose sleep over it. If you're not there, you worry about it. It's just like, it really is like having another child.
Yeah, every Sunday, I don't go to bed between 2 or 4 o'clock in the morning because I think about the week.
Yeah.
I mean, I just do it.
Yeah.
No matter as much as I'm relaxed or if I go to bed early, I just cannot shut my mind about everything that needs to get done, what we need to order, where we need to be.
Yep.
It's hard to shut it off.
Yeah, it is. And for me, it's, because I take everything personally. Like if something goes wrong with the business, if I have a teenager working in the afternoon and they don't give a customer good service and I find out about it, I take that stuff personally. It's like, we didn't train them well enough, so we gave the customer bad service, and it's like it weighs on you all the time. I mean, you can't just like blow it off. Like if you worked at Walmart and somebody got bad service, well, whatever, nobody cares. But like when it happens at your own business and you're responsible for it, you take every little thing you take personally because you want it to be perfect. You want it to be perfect every time.
Well, especially a small town. That one small experience in a small town gets around.
Yes. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I call it the dollar store phenomenon. I should write a book about this. Nobody would read it, but I would enjoy writing it. I say people can they'll go to a dollar store every single day and get horrible service, and then they'll go back the next day every time. But if they come into our business and they get bad service one time, they might never come back. And I tell my employees that. I said, you have to understand that we are held to a different standard than the dollar store is. People expect to get crappy service at a dollar store, and they'll get exactly what they expect. But they expect to get phenomenal service at our store, and if they don't get it, they might not come back. So you have to always bear that in mind, and that's why you have to always be on your toes. Yeah.
It's like my forehead is going to fall off there.
It is pretty warm outside today, so maybe your face is melting.
I had to open up the overhead doors because it was warmer outside than inside.
Yeah, we have the doors open at the store.
I was like, I got the heaters going. I walked by the gas meter and it's running. I'm like, I looked at my phone. It was 66 degrees. I said, no. I would
it's supposed to be 70.
Turn everything off and open all the doors up.
Yeah, I'm like, this is great, but it can't be good.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that. It's been a rough winter for us.
Oh, yeah.
We depend on our seasons here in Michigan, just as much the summer as the winter. Yeah. We plow snow.
Yeah.
So that's a very big part of our business, of our income.
Yeah.
And for you, I mean, you have different aspects that you provide for snow service.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And then your brother-in-law, he does towing, wrecker business.
Yeah.
Not that we want anybody getting in a wreck, but then it goes to the body shop.
Yeah.
It's just a trickle-down effect.
Oh, absolutely. Yep.
So how was your year this year with...
Well, winter goods were bad. I mean, it's like if there's no snow, you're not going to sell salt. There's no two ways about it. It's not even there's really nothing you can do about that. And we've talked about this a lot because we spend a lot of energy and resources on marketing, but Mother Nature is our best marketing tool. And there's no number of things we can do that will do for us what Mother Nature can do in one weekend. Yeah. And I mean, we've had these bad winters before, obviously, but you definitely see the trends over time are pretty clear that things are changing. So I think as business owners, we obviously have to take that into account in future planning and what we're going to do. I wouldn't. I don't think I'd ever make the decision to start selling a bunch of snow blowers or anything in this part of the state,
right.
because I don't think we're ever going to be a real heavily snowed area anymore in the future. It just doesn't look that way.
No,
not to say that it won't happen here and there, but
I've never really had a mentor, but a good friend of mine is in the business too, and he's an older gentleman, and he's just like, as I was building my snow accounts, he's like, don't go into snow season and think you're going to make money. You're doing it to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like, when you're young, I'm like, no, I said, I'm hustling. I'm gonna have 20 trucks. I'm gonna go do this. And then as I've gotten older and I've realized the seasons, I can't rely on that. I'm gonna create this income to surpass some others. So it just doesn't work out that way. Not seasonally in Michigan anymore.
Yeah. I think it's over on the west side of the state, they get a lot more lake effect snow, and I think people can do better over there with it, obviously, but and just the way it's been here, it's so up and down.
Yeah. So we both moving on from that. We serve on the DDA.
We do
in town. You've been there
I've been
a little
there
longer.
for a long time. I don't even know how long I've been on it, to be honest with you.
I've been on and off a few times. I took a little time off, but you've been there for 20 years. Can't be 20, but
no, I would say probably 12, 13 years I've been on it. Yeah.
So we've done a lot of good things.
Yeah.
But we've done some bad things, or not some bad things. We had some fails.
Yeah.
Chill on the hill.
We don't even have to talk about Chill on the Hill if you don't want to.
Well, I think, we have the hill, for those that don't, I've never been to Vassar, we have this humongous hill, main street that goes up and down. So we're like, hey,
you'd think that'd make a great sledding hill.
Why don't we take opportunity and let's throw some snow down and have an afternoon of fun, right?
Boy. Yep.
Well, that never happened.
Well, we did have some afternoons of fun, but it wasn't so much from sledding down the hill.
No.
What we learned was that it's the logistics of closing a state highway, covering it with snow, and being able to sled down it are pretty challenging to pull off, especially when you might have a 50-degree day 2 or 3 days before you're supposed to have the event and you don't have any snow. The other thing we learned is that our hill, while it's very steep to walk up or drive up, it's not really steep enough to sled down.
No, not unless you have prime snow conditions.
Yeah, I think then these numbers are probably wrong, but I think our hill is like a 7.5 or 8% grade. Mm-hmm. And I think, to have a good sledding hill, you probably need like a 15 to 20% grade to be able to actually sled.
And then the one year we're like, well, we need to build this massive tower.
Yeah.
So we
did.
Yeah. It was a big platform, had a huge ramp on it. And we're like, yeah, that will get your momentum down. So then we did that, and that was an epic fail.
Yeah. It did get you to the bottom of the ramp.
It did.
Yeah. That 10 feet was pretty fun.
So that year I was so devastated that we put all this time and resources in building this ramp. So, and there's tons of people, there's hundreds of people lined up with their sleds. Because
it was crazy.
You had to bring your own sled. Or so you could bring your own sled, or we had sleds.
Yeah, we had tubes. Yeah, we had tubes that we bought, actually. They were really nice tubes. They're like the ones that if you go up to Boyne to their tubing, and they're the same type of tubes as they had. But yeah, we ended up having volunteers pushing people. I mean, we were just running behind tubes, pushing people down the hill to get them to the bottom. And to be fair, I mean, the sledding didn't work well. It never did. We had one year that the conditions were decent, and that was the best year. But people did have a lot of fun. And I still have people come in and they ask, like, when's Chill on the Hill going to be this year? I'm like, well, we haven't had that in like 8 years, man. We're not doing that again.
Yeah, that's sad. So I was so devastated that one year that I was walking up and we were pushing the kids, like you said, and I'm like, how come this is not working? We have this massive ramp, we have the snow, it was decent conditions. I'm like, how can you not get to the bottom of the hill? So I just walked and I asked this lady, I said, do you mind if I just borrow your sled? She's with her son. She's like, yeah, fine. I said, I'm on the board here. I just wanted to see, I got to experience it. I got to figure out why we're not getting another thing. So obviously I'm I'm almost 300 pounds. So
You're a little more mass.
So I get, man, I think I even got a running start. So I'm going and I'm like, boom. Next thing I know, the sled splits in half.
You broke her sled?
I broke this kid's sled.
No.
So I go find her and I'm like, listen, I got two pieces of the sled. I'm like, I apologize. I said, I didn't think it was going to break. I was like, I offered to buy her a new sled. She was just like, no. I'm like, well, even this 2 halves of sled, you're not going to make it very far down on our hill here. So
No, it was, it was, I'm still proud of it. I think, it was a good event for the town, even if the sledding didn't work. We had the tent set up and we had like chili cook-off one year that went really well. We had a lot of people. I mean, the churches were selling baked goods, did a lot of good in the community. If we had a steeper hill that wasn't a state highway, so you could prepare it ahead of time,
right,
and it was ready to go, then we could do an event like that.
Yeah, because one morning we got snow, and I'm like, man, if they didn't have to clear off this hill right now, it'd be perfect.
Yeah.
But then the city comes and salts it, and I'm like, oh, there goes that.
Yeah. It just was a flawed concept from the beginning, but.
So then we talked about doing a water slide down the hill.
Yeah, a giant slip and slide.
But I think we thought a lot of liability on that.
Yeah.
We're gonna get Duralast to donate the.
Yep, we did talk about that.
Yeah.
Yep, we did talk.
Well,
about
maybe
that.
that's what we should do. We should do splash on the hill.
I'm really not a proponent of anything on the hill. Anything. Like, well, I'll do anything, but if not on the hill.
Down on the hill. All right. Well, we have other hills.
We do, yeah. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, as sledding, I think if we got to find a permanent home for that if we're gonna do that. But there aren't really any great ones downtown, unfortunately. Not publicly owned ones.
No. So what else? What do we got? What else do we do in the DDA here?
And we got we got
our light. We've been doing our lights.
The last 2 years, I've been really proud of what the DDA's done. Like the lighting the downtown has been huge. For the Christmas season, downtown looks phenomenal. We've really been trying to do a better job of introducing new businesses to the downtown, doing some grand openings, getting to know the new business owners downtown, getting more business owners involved with the DDA. We had to decorate the Christmas tree contest.
That was a success.
Yeah, at Christmas time too. That was a lot of fun. We are planning this coming year, and actually, this might be like the first public announcement of this. I just thought of that, but we are. Last year, we held a block party in August on South Main Street, and it was a lot of fun. We had band, and we cooked hot dog. We were supposed to have food trucks. That didn't work out, so we quick pivoted and we cooked hot dogs. We gave away free hot dogs, so it worked out pretty good. But we're going to work with the Shifters Car Club this year and move that block party to the Friday before the car show. So that'll be on the Friday before the car show. I don't remember what the exact date is, but it's the Friday before the car show starts,
right,
which is the first weekend in August. It's the first Saturday in August. So I don't know what that date is offhand, but and we're going to have a cruise in with classic cars, cool cars cruising in. It's going to be in the south parking lot. We're going to have a band. We're going to have food trucks. Definitely, we're going to have food trucks there this year. We've already got those ironed out and pinned down. August 2nd.
Yeah,
August 2nd.
You heard it here first.
Yep. So
Small Town Grit.
Yep.
August 2nd.
August 2nd. Cruise in, so you can come in, check out the band, have a lot of fun the night before, and then come down to the car show on Saturday. Going to be the Shifters Car Club's done a phenomenal job of really bringing the car show back to its former glory. I think.
I think so too. Yeah.
They've been working their tails off and have really done a good job. So this is kind of like a natural, I think, extension of that to really try to keep growing the car show. So I'm excited about that. I think that's going to be a great event this summer.
We got our concert series we've been doing for
the downtown concert series.
We got a mural and some lights right downtown, so it's a beautiful environment.
Created that great kind of small space to hold the concerts in on North Main Street there. Did that a few years ago, put the lights across the street, got the murals painted. Just really cool. We've got some big plans this year to kind of beautify the downtown, bring in some I'll say foliage and things like that into the downtown. And then we kind of have some longer term plans about how to really beautify the downtown with hopefully some streetscape improvements and things like that. With the DDA, it's all about securing funding. If we can get the funding to do things, I think, we can make a lot happen. So, it's a great group of people. It's all people that either own businesses downtown or own buildings downtown or live downtown and just want to see the downtown thrive. So, it's a great group of people.
Yeah, thanks for being on that board there for sure. I know that's one board I enjoy going to, and we've been doing a lot of good things. So
Yeah, absolutely.
So we had Jean on, Dr. Barden, last week.
That's what she makes me call her all the time.
So we talked about that competition. It's two entrepreneurs in the same house. I know you guys run a little bit together.
Yep.
Does the competition ever stop?
No. Doesn't. No. When it comes to the businesses though, it's not really a competition. She doesn't. I just listened to her show today.
Yeah.
Which it was good. But she doesn't really, like, her outlook on business is totally different than mine. She just wants to go to work. She wants to really take good care of her patients, and then she wants to come home and not be thinking
shut
about
it
it
off
anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm always out, I'm looking for the next angle and what we need to be doing, and how do we grow and how do we get better. Jean's all about patient care. It's patient care. Like, she just wants to take care of her patients and do a great job. And so we definitely have a different approach to business. She totally underestimates herself. She always makes comments about how she's a horrible business person, doesn't know what she's doing, all this stuff. But she's really done incredible for herself and what she's taken that practice from the little office that it used to be in. That actually my eye doctor when I was a kid was Dr. Gay in that office, and then it was Dr. Hilligan that she talked about, that she kind of went and shadowed in the summer one time, and what kind of made her want to become an eye doctor. What she's kind of transformed that into now is pretty incredible if you look at it in just a really pretty short period of time, to be honest. So she's done a great job, and her staff is just phenomenal. I mean, every one of her staff is just really good at their job and does a great job, and thus it helps, I think, make her job a little bit easier in running the business. So
yeah, we talk about that a little bit here about culture. I think she created a culture there that her staff and you and I feel like successful business owners create a culture at their businesses, and people just buy into what they're doing.
Yeah, and it took her a while to get there. I mean, she had to go through some lessons to figure that out.
So she did opposite of you. She had two practices. She closed one and has one, and you went from one to having two in Frankenmuth. Has that dynamic been a challenging or does that go back to creating that culture with your staff and everybody's buying into?
Yes. It's really, to me, it's about systems. We have to have systems in place to do everything, to try to be
Brian
consistent.
would love that word. We're doing systems this year, and I hate it.
Yeah.
I just do. I'm not a systems guy, but I value the process.
Yeah.
But I fight it every day.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I like systems. Like I said, I'm an engineer at heart. I like math. I like numbers, and I like things to work the way they're supposed to every time.
Yeah, they call me Cowboy Corey.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But we have a long ways to go. I mean, a long ways to go to get where I would like us to be in terms of being consistent in systems and things like that. But I'm fortunate to have a great group of people at both stores that take care of the day-to-day things really well and do a good job. So ultimately, like you said, creating a culture is absolutely critical. I mean, whatever culture you create is what your business is going to be. So
yeah.
And you've got to always be working on it. Like there's always ways to make it better.
You always can work on it. I mean, I was telling the staff today, I said, I can't shut it off. I wish I could. I think about it every day. I think how you can improve, where we failed, how can I fix that fail?
Yeah.
I mean, we fail every day, and it's just hopefully they don't cost a lot,
right?
Or you don't create a bad relationship.
That's the biggest one for me is like I'm all about making mistakes. I don't mind people making mistakes, but there's definitely two kinds of mistakes. there are lazy mistakes and there's hustling mistakes, and hustling mistakes will take all day long. Because if you're hustling and trying to take care of somebody, but something didn't go the way you planned, or you couldn't make it happen because it just wasn't possible, that's fine. But if you made a lazy mistake, like, well, I just didn't want to make the effort to look that up and see if we could get it for them. That's the kind of mistakes that you can't have, because there's just too many other options out there today, to be brutally honest. Like, if we don't have what they want and we're not willing to help them solve their problem, they can go on Amazon and buy it and have it at their house, maybe later today, if not tomorrow. So,
so for you, you have to value that customer service to the 10th degree, because like, there's other options.
Exactly.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what else can we offer if it's not the best customer service experience, because
I mean, I even get a hug once in a while. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably not from who you think, though.
Let me see. Jeez, I don't know. Carol? Did you get hugs from Carol?
Carol would probably give me a hug, but I have not requested that.
No. Yeah.
No, Dan. I get a hug.
Dan.
I get a hug from Dan every time I see him.
Listen, Dan makes me hug him every time I see him, and I'm like, I'm not a hugger, to be honest with you, but Dan makes me hug him every single time.
And he smells so good too.
Yeah, I don't know what that.
And then I smell like Dan the rest of the day.
Yeah, I don't know if that's Axe for Dan or what it is, but
he should have his own line.
He might.
Yeah,
he might.
It's like Jimmy G. He's got his own clothing line.
Jimmy. Cut off shirts.
No, just no shirts off.
Just no shirts. Yeah. Okay.
So a couple things before we let you go here today. So True Value is part of a franchise, but not really a franchise. It's a little different
True Value
structure.
Is technically not a franchise. We're a co-op. So a co-op is a collection of individual businesses that own a bigger business. Think of it like a farm co-op, where a bunch of farmers own the place where they sell their grain and buy their seeds and stuff. So that's what True Value started out as a co-op. So a bunch of stores got together, formed a company to go buy merchandise and then distribute it to all those stores. So we vote as owners of the corporation. True Value doesn't really dictate the difference between a true franchise and like True Values. And a true franchise, there are a lot of rules you have to follow about how you do business, what kind of systems you use, what your building looks like, what the inside of your building looks like. We don't really have many rules. There are some rules around the brand itself that we have to follow, like the way the True Value font is and that kind of stuff, but very few rules that we have to follow in terms of running our business. We're free to do whatever we want operationally. It's just a competitive advantage because we buy, instead of buying as an individual store and going to all these vendors and trying to buy, you're buying as a big group. So
I will tell you that I try and go to True Values when I go to other communities that they have instead of your competitors.
Yeah.
But then I always hold them up to your standards, because I feel like your stores are majority of the time a little better than the rest. Not that they're bad, but I'm like, I'm just so used to our hometown True Values that I'm like.
I obviously go to hardware stores wherever I go. Actually, we went this past winter. We went to Puerto Rico on vacation, and I went to a True Value in Puerto Rico.
In Puerto Rico?
Yep, right in old San Juan.
Is that
downtown.
Your retirement plan?
That would not be a bad retirement plan. I would definitely be down with that.
Do they serve margaritas in the?
They didn't, but I might incorporate that if I had one. I talked to the manager that was on staff that was working right then, and had a good conversation with him. So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, I've gone to so many different hardware stores in the different places we've gone, and the cool part about our business is you will see so many businesses that do the same thing, do it so differently.
Yeah,
I mean, so differently. And nobody's wrong or nobody's right. It's just everybody does it their way. Different people are good at different things, and they excel in different areas. Yeah. And I mean, you go in some once in a while that are just plain bad, but not too many, because they won't be around very long if they're just plain bad. Yeah. There's a few people, to use Jim Harbaugh. There's a few people still sitting on third base in a few communities that they're just sitting on honey holes, and it doesn't really matter. Well, probably how they run their business, they'll still make money, but there aren't many of those left in the world today. So you gotta do something pretty well if you're going to continue doing business.
So what's the next step for Adam Barden and True Value? Anything you want to disclose yet? You got anything in the works?
I always have something in the works. Yes. We definitely have some plans to grow. Nothing that I really can spill the beans on yet, I guess I'll say, but
yeah, that's always good though. You're always looking for the future.
But
though.
yeah, we definitely have plans for growth and some things that we want to do. To do those things, there are a lot of other things that have to happen first. So we'll see if those things happen to make it happen. But
patience.
Yeah, but
another thing I struggle at.
Yeah.
Patience.
So yeah, those are the things, and then Gene and I we're getting older. It's hard to believe how old I am, to be honest with you. So we're looking at what are the next steps after this, and what are we going to do after that? I mean, my kids will be in college in a couple of years, so Gene and I really like to travel, so we're hoping that retirement's going to hold some fun travels and things like that. But yeah, we're just working on doing things better every day at the business. Really, that's the goal.
Yeah,
get better
good.
every day, and hopefully raising a couple decent human beings, and then riding off into the sunset.
Yeah, that's all you can ask.
Yep.
Well, good deal. We wish you the best. Thanks for taking the time today.
Thank you.
And hope to have you again. Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you back?
Yeah.
Thank
All
you,
right.
sir.
Thanks.